Hello everyone and welcome back to our continued playthrough of Dragon Warrior 2 for the Nintendo Entertainment System. In this video we're going to do a whole bunch of things. We're going to acquire the Stars Crest, we're going to get the Moon Fragment, we're going to get the Eye of Malroth, and open the cave to Rhone. So this is a pretty significant undertaking and requires a whole bunch of steps to do. The first thing we need to do is head back to the lighthouse to acquire the Stars Crest. So as you can see, we've got the heroes at level 18, the Prince of Canuck is at level 16, and the Princess is at level 12. So this is right at the minimum level. That's pretty much strong enough to go ahead and attempt to get the Stars Crest. The Stars Crest itself is not hard to get. Getting there is the challenge. So basically we're going to leave the village that we are staying in and we're going to head west and then south right after the monolith from Dragon Warrior 1 to hit this little island right here. As you can see, there is a tower here. This is the lighthouse that we were in originally, where I got basically beat up pretty hard. The guys are very difficult in here. The Gorgons themselves are not hard. The Saber Tigers don't have a lot of hit points, but they pack quite a wallop when it comes to how hard they hit you. And you have to be very careful because they can heroic hit you and basically instant kill for the Prince and Princess. So, fighting off Gorgons is not that difficult. The trick to them is they constantly will cast defense and surround. So if you fight a bunch of them, you're actually better off just running because they're not worth the effort required to fight them off. So what I mean by that is because they keep constantly casting surround and defense, you have to fight and hit them and keep casting stuff on them to lower their defensive power, just so you can beat them. The hero of Middenhall can hit them, but it's like 2 or 3 hits to kill them, and you only get like 50 experience. So we're just going to skip most Gorgons. You'll see in the lighthouse here, I tend to run from most of these fights, just because it makes it a lot easier when I get to the bosses here. As you'll see, this is a pretty long walk, and it's a maze, but I think I remember the way. So I'm going to try and fight the weaker guys and avoid the larger fights wherever possible, just to conserve magic power so that I can heal when I need it. Now, you'll see I'll fight this battle. Saber Tigers, as long as you kill them pretty quick, they're not that big of a deal to kill. The Prince of Middenhall can kill them in one shot with the Sword of Edric. And the enchanters are just basically beefed up magicians and sorcerers. So we're just going to keep working our way through. Now you have to be very careful in the lighthouse here because it's so easy to get lost. And you'll waste time fighting around when you could just go the direct path. So any of the treasure chests in the lighthouse are not worth going out of the way for. They're basically just a little bit of gold and some random items that don't really have any value at this point. So you skip this staircase, you skip the southern staircase, and we want the western staircase. And this staircase will take us up to the next level. Now, if you take any of the others, they'll also bring you up, but they'll basically bring you in a giant circle. So we're going to come out here and just go ahead and go down south. Now see, this is a fight you have to be careful, because those bigger fights, when you run, if you don't run away the first time, you get hit. So we're going to go up this staircase, and we're going to continue on. So right here, the real way to go is to go up those stairs, but what I'd like to show you is the one lone soldier who occupies this lighthouse. Now, as you can see, we got stuck in this fight, and what I was saying about being careful when you run. If you don't run the first time, these guys can hit you really hard. See, they've basically almost killed my party. So now I have to go ahead and heal. And fortunately, the princess has heal more, and so does the prince at this point. Have to be very conscious of magic power in this, because you can run out so easily just in healing. So we have a golden door here that we're going to go ahead and open. Run from these guys. And here's a prime example of how hard they can hit. So you can see they can hit you pretty good. We'll see if we can get them to trigger a heroic attack to show you what I mean. Yeah, it's probably not going to happen. But you see how quickly the Prince of Canuck's health is dropped. He's practically dead. So we have to go ahead and heal him again. So that's why you have to be very careful in here and to conserve your magic points. The official recommendation is to have your hero on level 20, have the prince on level 18, and have the princess on level 14. But I find you can do a considerable part of this game right now with the levels that we're at. So we're just going to go ahead and keep going up all these staircases. Now, you think this is the right way, but in reality, it's not. What this top floor here is basically what's assumed to be the lighthouse keeper. And he basically tells you that about Hargon. He guarded the chamber of Hargon. This is the land called Rhone, high in the mountains, which you can see it from when we travel around the middle continent. And Hargon's basically in there, which we already know. So this guy, I guess he's retired and just guards this lighthouse. So basically now we need to go back down a level, and just to show you, there's only 2 entrances in here. So we're going to go back all the way down. Now, you don't need to come up here. You could skip all of this, but I just showed you for good measure. Undead guys, again, you want to be careful here because they can gang up on you pretty quick. So you'll see me obviously running from a lot of fights in here. But at the same time, I will fight a couple of them just to get some experience, but only fights that are really worth it. So we're backtracking the way we came now. So like a saber tiger is an easy kill, one of them. But they don't give much. So it's about, you have to weigh fighting them versus not. This is a good spot to fight around if you're trying to grind to get up levels. The guys aren't too hard, and you can always leave and then cast return and return to Hamlin. So for this case, we're going to go ahead and up these steps, and then we need to go north up here. Again, this is one giant maze, and I spent a considerable amount of time figuring out where to go, because a lot of this is being done by memory. You'll see later on in the video, when we get to the cave to Rhone, I'll tell you a little story about when I was a kid and playing this with my friends. So as you can see, we're just going to continue climbing, and we're looking for the Stars Crest. As you recall, the Stars Crest is one of the 5 crests that are required to basically get us to Hargon and ultimately Malroth. We won't be able to get the final crest for a little while because that is inside of the cave to Rhone and it's difficult to get to. That is the life crest. So here's another golden door. Usually when you see golden doors, that you're going the right way, with the exception of that one. But for the most part in this game. So now we have the areas again that are hidden. So we need to figure out where to go. Basically in this case we're going to go up and around. Just doing a quick status check here. Health and everything is okay. So you got to be careful obviously not to touch any of the... walk to any of the sky parts because you will just fall right off. I guess OSHA was not a thing here and doesn't really worry about. So here's this random guy. We followed a gremlin in here, but he disappeared, and now this guy is here and telling us to follow him to the Stars Crest. He already knows why we're here. I suspect that this guy is not who he says he is. Seems too good to be true, as usual. So we'll just go ahead and follow him anyway. Magic ants, we haven't seen them since the cave to Hamlin. So here's this guy again. We just keep following him. And we're going to go ahead and down the steps. And we're going to follow him into this staircase. You have to be very careful again not to fall off, or you have to do the whole thing all over again. So we're just going to keep going. And here we are. So now he says to open the chest. Let's make sure for good measure that we're healed in case this is a trap. Which, if you've all played this game, you can pretty much guess what's going to happen. And let's go ahead and search the treasure chest. And it's empty. And the trap has been sprung. And gremlins appear. So that guy was basically a gremlin all along. Now these guys are pretty easy. You can cast stop spell on them. It sometimes works. Infernos works pretty good. Just it's usually two hits per to kill them. They don't pack too much of a wallop. They can breathe flames, which hurt a little bit. But the princess has the water flying cloth at this point, and fire doesn't do a whole lot to her. So let's just knock these guys out here. Again, they're pretty easy. It's usually 2-hit kills. Infernos is one, and the Prince of Minhall can usually knock them down with the other hit. And we'll just go ahead and fight. Maybe Gwen will get a kill. Nope. So we go ahead and killed them. Again, you don't only get anything from these guys. And we found the Stars Crest. So we have now acquired 4 of the required crests. The last is the Life Crest, which is in the cave to Rhone. So now we can just go ahead and drop off the side here, and we can go ahead and cast return to return to Hamlin. So I'm going to do my usual. I'm going to go inside of Hamlin, and we'll save the game. Stay at the inn and save, because as we all know, I'm playing this on a legacy Nintendo system, which obviously I've got in pretty good working order, but it can subject to those freezes and deleted games. Here's our usual save, buddy. So as you can see, getting up levels has become significantly more challenging in the amount of experience that you need. To go through the Cave of Rhone, we need to be at least levels like 21, 18, and like 15. Because we want to learn Explode It and some other good stuff. So we're going to go ahead and just save the game here for good measure. And then we'll continue on our way to the next step will be the Moon Fragment. So now, to get the Moon Fragment, we're just going to go ahead and restart our game here. We're back. So again, like I said, we need a pretty significant amount of experience for the 2 princes. The princess, not so much. But we're at an okay level to go ahead and attempt to get the Moon Fragment. We're at levels 18, 16, and 12. So we're right at the level of what we need to be for right now in the game. So as you can see, we're okay. So next we need to head back to Toon, which is that annoying town to get to that you have to take the ship all the way around the western continent, come down, go in the river, get out, and walk to Toon. And we need to use the Watergate key to flood the area that leads to the Moon Tower. So if you remember from my previous video, I actually completely forgot that the water key even existed, but we doubled back and got it. One of the greatest things I like about going to Toon is you run into metal babbles, which are great experience points if you can kill them. But in this game, they are surprisingly difficult because they actually cast Firebane, which hurts a lot. You wouldn't think so, because usually they're weak in all the iterations of Dragon Warrior games, but not this one. So we're just going to keep fighting our way along and follow the continent to cut through the dragon horn to get over to the other side. The ultimate use of the Moon Fragment is you need it to raise the water level up to this around the sea cave, because for some reason the tides don't work around the sea cave and there are shallows that you can't get through. So once we acquire the Moon Fragment, we'll be able to go ahead and use it to open up the sea cave entrance, and then inside of the sea cave is the Eye of Malroth. The sea cave is basically a volcanic cave, but it's not over. You think it's hard, it's really not. I'll show you how easy it is to actually get through. So we're just doing a quick status check here. Everything's good. So let's keep heading along. So we're going to cut through the river here. As you remember, this is the Dragon Horn, and I always get out by accident. Dragon Warrior series, the ship can land anywhere it wants, but when you play the Final Fantasy game on the Nintendo Entertainment System, at least the first one, you can only dock the ship at ports. So we're heading along the western continent, along the left side, down into the mountain range here where Toon is, surrounded and by these mountains. So if you remember from my previous video, you need to get out of the ship at the right point to get to Toon. And this time I won't make the same mistake I made the last time and get out on the wrong side of the river. So we're going to keep following this until we get to the first inlet, and we'll go ahead and take this one in. And we're going to go ahead and go north here and follow it along as far as we can. Hopefully we'll run into some metal babbles along this walk, and if we do, we'll try and kill them, because you get like, I think it's like 10 grand experience or something like that for each one you kill. May not be as much in this game. So a quick fun little story on these hunters. If you notice when you hit the hunters how slow their flashes are when hit. Apparently, I've read online in the past that there was a screw up when they made this game, something with the hunters, which is why they are coded so slow and the things flash so slow. Everybody always thought it was a memory issue, but I don't think that never really made sense. I think it was just bad coding. Because if you notice when I hit like a metal babble, how quickly they'll flash. As you can see, they cast Firebane, which is difficult. As you can see, the flash when you hit them is significantly different than like a hunter. And there's a number of reasons for that. I think it was either just bad coding or a memory leak. So metal babbles in this game are very difficult and have more hit points than their counterparts in other games, like Dragon Warrior 4. I think it's only like 4 or 5 hits and they're dead. And this one, I've been hitting them like 6 or 7 times and they're still alive. So we're just going to go ahead and keep trying to kill this guy. You have to be very careful here because they can kill you. Firebane can wipe you out like very quickly. As you can see, they're doing pretty good on me. One guy is. So basically I'm going to have to waste a turn to heal the hero and heal the prince. The princess can take a couple of hits from Firebane because of her armor. Unfortunately, he didn't cast it again. So we'll go ahead and heal the princess for good measure. I have a feeling this metal babble's gonna run at some point. Just because they don't last around forever. Here. And come on, let's see if we can kill this guy. Would be awesome. Obviously, I'll come back here when I'm ready to grind again. So while we're doing this, let's talk for a minute about what the next steps are. So here, we obviously have to get the Moon Fragment, which we're going to use to open the Sea Cave. The Sea Cave, inside of it is the Eye of Malroth. The Eye of Malroth is used to open the Cave of Rhone entrance. Now, you'll see when I get to the Cave to Rhone, what you think is the entrance, based on what was told to you in the past, actually isn't. And you have to do a couple of things to get to the Cave to Rhone. And it's actually surprisingly difficult, because you're kind of left to figure it out on your own. And the first time it was very confusing. So we're just going to continue to keep heading this way and fight off baboons. These guys are pretty easy. Meta babbles are great, but again, you have to fight them, and it's a matter of luck, if not whether you kill them or not. So, but hopefully we will be able to knock out some of those metal babbles and get us some pretty beefed up experience. So let's just kind of fight off, kill this baboon here. Baboons are dead. See, you don't get a whole lot of experience around here, so really metal babbles are what we'd want to kill. We got the mummy man dead. And we're gonna keep just killing these guys off. They're not overly difficult. These guys can poison you, but antidote can take care of that super quick. So we're gonna kind of keep following around this river. And knock off these guys again. Infernos on the ghost rats. We'll take care of them. Let's just knock out these baboons here. And we'll continue on our way. So the baboons are dead, so are the ghost rats. I try and fight even the little fights, because sometimes you get, obviously, like treasure chests and stuff, you know, that help out, like clubs and gold. You can, any weapons and stuff you get at this point in the game, you just sell it and make money, because we're saving up for, like, I think the mink coat is like 60,000 gold pieces or something like that. Which, once we get into the Cave of Rhone, we'll collect that super quick. So I try and save as everything I can at this point. So we're just going to keep working our way on to Toon, which is right there. Fight off these sorcerers. This game has 3 different versions for these guys who look like, there's the magicians, the sorcerers, and the enchanters. I don't know if you see anybody else. I thought there was only 3 of them, but it's been a long time. But they're not overly difficult. Like any magician, they're weak on defensive power. So Gwen has gotten up a level. She's now going to be at level 13, I believe. Now, I notice every once in a while the game gets stuck like this, and you have to keep pressing like A, and you wait. I don't remember this ever happening in the past, but I don't know, it's been happening with this. It just sits, and then sometimes you have to just kind of keep hitting it, and then eventually it just goes. So we'll just keep pressing it here until it goes through. Everybody remembers back in the day, there it goes, you'd be playing the game and it would just stop. And it would be like, oh no, you would be like almost done or something and did something great, and then the game would just freeze. And that used to happen on all the Nintendo systems. No matter how clean you were, it would just freeze, and that was because of a bunch of things. It was the cartridge connection, like memory leaks, and just random junk like that. I used to hate that. Then Super Nintendo came out, and it was like God's grace to man. There was no more of the freezes, the gray screening, the having to blow in the cartridge, stuff like that. So we're just going to go ahead here and heal for good measure. It's very easy to die here, believe it or not, to lose somebody. And you don't think it is, but it can happen like that when you fight these kind of fights, because the guys here are stronger than they look, especially if they gang up on one person. Like Talent, for example, he's not the strongest when it comes to hits. And so we're going to have to be very cautious of that. Yeah, it was close. And see Gwen, that's what I was explaining. Gwen, you see how quickly the Prince of Canuck or the Princess of Moonbrook can be killed. But that's not a big deal. Toon has the priest who can revive people, it just costs money. So I don't worry so much about that. Losing someone is not the end of the world. In this game, there are people who are like religious about that, who won't let anyone die ever. I'm just like, whatever, I'll just bring them back to life. So now it's just a matter of making sure we're healed, because we're down to a 2-party thing, and we'll just keep working our way on to Toon. I like how the ghost just like drags behind you. It doesn't walk or anything. It just like floats behind you and follows you with a smiley face, not minding that it's dead. So we're gonna go ahead and bring back Gwen. 260 gold is not bad. So this is probably the last time I will come to Toon. There is some stuff here that you can get for the prince, but it's not really worth it, because the best stuff for him we'll get when we're in Rhone. We'll probably go to the Cave of Rhone, fight around in there, get some gold experience, and then I'll get the strongest stuff for him, which is like the mink coat and some other things. So we got to remember how to find where the Watergate key is. If I remember right, I think it's up straight. Maybe not. Oh, I remember. It's in the back left corner. So we got to go back out and then back in. I'll fight these guys. Why not? These guys are a bit of a pain because the magic drackies can heal them and just make things a nuisance. They can cast defense, which then makes the hunters stronger because they hit us harder. But we should be able to take care of them, no problem. We'll go ahead and take out one of the magic drackies here. And we'll go ahead and we have to be very careful with the defense that these guys do. They can, again, you see what I mean? These guys can beat you up pretty good. And I'm at a level strong enough to fight around here, but probably just barely. Makes me wonder how hard the moon tower is going to be. It's not hard to get through. It's very short. It's pretty straightforward in the way that you have to go, too, so we can get in and out. We'll be in and out pretty quick. I'm not going to go crazy with looking for anything in there. Because, again, remember, our focus at this point in the game is not weapons. It's not armor. There's really nothing in treasure chests and anything we're going to find up until we get to the Cave of Rhone. So, to get to the Watergate key, we basically can go this way. I could have just went around the upper left part, but it's up in here. And we use the prison key to open the door. And we use the Watergate key. Now, using this will open the Watergate and essentially flood the area around the moon tower. So it floods the entire area, but you go back outside and it's all the same. So sure, we'll stick with that. So let's go ahead and go back in, and we'll stay at the inn just for good measure. And then we'll work our way over to the moon tower. So to get there, we actually have to backtrack a bit to the ship. And we need to bring the ship out of the river that it's in and down the continent a little more, and then up into another river that is now more accessible because we flooded that area. So we'll probably get our boat, bring it up this way, stay at the inn, and then go to the moon tower. So the one thing of note, you haven't seen me save lately, since I was obviously at Hamlin. There's nowhere to save around here. So if you perish, you're going to be brought back to the last point you saved at. The last area. So you'd have to come all the way back here. So we're going to try and avoid that, obviously. And stay alive as long as possible. These guys are pretty easy. Just attack them and kill them. And we'll keep working our way back. Just obviously heal for good measure. I'm going to probably stay at the inn and tune again once I get my boat. And bring it in. So we're just going to go ahead and fight these guys off here. Whoa, Gwen actually killed someone. I think you can count in the number of times in this game, on one hand, the amount of times she actually kills someone with a weapon versus using magic. So they are dead. And we're just going to continue on our way. Hopefully run into a metal babble again. See, I tried to run and didn't work, but these guys can't hurt me anyway. Like I said in my previous videos, I always try and balance out how often I run versus how often I fight, depending on the situation. If I'm in a cave or a dungeon, tower, anything like that, I'm going to run sometimes just to save on the magic power use, because sometimes the rewards, if you're going to get 150 experience, but you're going to use 20% of your magic points just in a battle, it's not worth it. Then you're not going to have enough to get through, and it'll make the challenge that much more difficult, especially if there's a boss fight. Now, this game, one of the things I never really liked was the boss fights were always pretty easy. I mean, you saw how quickly he was able to beat the Stars Crest bosses. They were not hard at all. This game focused more on the adventure than it does on the boss fights. Even Hargon and Malroth are not that difficult, depending on if you're at the right level. So we got a treasure chest, medical herbs, so that's something we'll hang on to. Keep just working our way through here. I can't wait for Taui to actually learn a better offensive spell. Fireball is really just like it's borderline useless. You're actually better off like just attacking with him at some points. Infernos is still one of my favorite spells just because of the amount of damage it does to multiple groups of things, which makes killing them that much easier. And then it's just one hit usually from the Prince of Minhall and they're done. As you can see, there are very little rewards for fighting these. So there's our boat. So now we have to head down, and here's what I'll show you. So you can see there's that river over there, but we can't get to it because this is blocking our path. So the way to get to it basically is we need to go out of the river that we're in, go back out into the ocean, and travel down along the continent a little more. That'll bring us over to the other side of that river, and we can continue to follow it. The bridge obviously is not high enough for the boat to go under, which would make sense given the technology of this game. So we're just going to go ahead and I'll run from these guys. So now we're back out, coming back out into the ocean. Sea slugs are always a good fight just because they give you a little bit of decent amount of experience and they're not overly difficult. You can grind in the ocean to get up levels. It just takes forever. And the guys aren't really a challenge at this point in the game. But I don't spend too much time focusing on these guys. Just kill them as quickly as possible and move on. Infernos is good. It works on most of them. And then the hero can usually just knock off one, and then talent can knock off the other. Or in this case, not. As long as somebody attacks them, they'll kill them. There, that should do it. So as you can see, I mean, we got 300 experience for that fight. It was pretty. So it's worth it to fight around in the ocean. Continuing on, following along the continent line here, just follow the shoreline until we get to the next river. And then we're going to head up this river. And this river will take us to the Moon Fragment because the river is now opened where there used to be unpassable. So we just got to obviously follow along the riverbed here. Oops. Follow along again. As you can see, we're on the opposite side of where I was before. And this will give us the opportunity to actually stop at Toon and stay at the inn, which I'll probably do. Because this is probably the last time I'll come to Toon. I don't foresee coming back here after this fight in this area. Go ahead and knock this guy off. And we'll go ahead up and for good measure and stay at the inn, and then we'll cut through the ship to get to the moon tower. So we're going to go ahead up here and stay at the inn. We've been here quite a few times. Okay, so we are ready to attempt the moon tower. Now, you'll notice again, I haven't saved lately, so it's always a risk, but we're going to take it. I don't worry so much about if I die. I mean, if I die, the water level still raised. It's more so about if the game freezes. Then I'd have to redo all of this over again because I would be back at my last save point. We knock down the hunters. So I'm looking to get about 60,000 gold just to get the strongest armor for the Prince of Canuck. Just because I like to have it. You don't really need it, but it always makes it easier. So gold orcs are not overly difficult, but they do give a higher return on gold. I think they give like almost 300 gold or something like that. We'll go ahead and fight this guy off just for good measure to show you here. Trick to orcs, any of them, is you put them to sleep. They usually don't ever wake up. And he'll just sit asleep until we kill him. And there we go. So as you can see, we got about 300 gold for that two guys. So about 250 of that is the gold orc. Here we are inside the moon tower. Now, again, we're not going to do anything other than just go through here real quick to get the moon fragment. I'm not going to focus on any other treasure chests. The rewards for going out of my way are just minimal. So getting the moon fragment is not overly difficult. You have to basically go up and then down. And it's pretty easy to figure out, but at the same time, it's easy to get lost. Because if you make one mistake, especially when it comes to where you have to, the area where you have to open there's the two big doors. They're not readily visible. So it kind of trips you up a little bit. The guys in here are not that difficult. Pretty easy to kill. I'll probably run for most of the fights, but for something like this, I'll just show you. So mummies don't hit very hard. and they don't have a whole lot of defense, so they're usually pretty easy to kill, any of them. So there's some little symbols on the floor. Go ahead and keep working our way down. Nothing beats when you take one next step and you get hit. The one thing I've noticed with the water flying cloth is it's good against fire stuff, but it's not consistent. Like, the hero and the Prince of Canuck get hit by a fireball, and it takes like 6 or 7. Gwen gets hit by one, and it takes like 6 or 7, and sometimes. So the numbers are not always the consistent. So we're just going to keep working our way through. We're going to go up these steps. Evil clowns get a little strong. I'm just going to bounce from this, but that's alright. They cast Firebane, which is why I tend to run. Ooh, this could actually, I could actually take a hit or two here. Gwen will run. Nope. Alright, this could be a little bit of a... Somebody might die here. Yep. We better run this time. Alright, so the hero of the Hell is deceased, but that's okay. Now, had I been good, I would have actually carried with me a Leaf of the World tree, but I didn't. So, but it's okay. This place is not... We're almost halfway through at this point. Believe it or not. This place, again, is not that large. So, just doing a quick status check. We're going to go ahead and go up these steps. More ghouls. So there's the door in question, but you'll see it trips you up when you go here because you can see there's another door. So whether or not you take this staircase or that other one, you have to kind of figure out. In this case, we want to use these. So we're basically going back down now to the first floor, to where this lone man is standing, protecting the Moon Fragment. And he tells you, gives you a clue about what the Moon Fragment does. So there we have the Moon Fragment. Now we can go ahead and get out of this place. As you can see, there it is. And we'll cast outside. And then return, which we remember, return will take you to the last place we saved. So Hamlin. Now this is probably the last time I'll come to Hamlin, because everything we need to do is now centered on the bottom-ish half of the world, with the exception of 2 little things. But we'll either stay at Osterfair or Baran, and you'll see why in a minute. So let's bring back the hero. Nothing else you can do for me. Oh, whoops. And let's go stay at the inn. My trusty inn here. 36 pieces. So we've now all healed up. For good measure, we're going to go ahead and save. After we sell some things that I have. We get to empty out our inventory once in a while. Obviously, full plate armor we don't need anymore. Lottery ticket and magic knife I really don't need. They don't do anything. They're not going to do anything for me. I don't really play the lottery that much. It just gets... I don't know. It's not worth it in my opinion. I've beaten this game numerous times without any of the stuff you get, like the magic ring or anything like that. Sell my club. Lottery tickets give like 50. All this stuff adds up, believe it or not. You keep selling all these things. Just gives you, get rid of stuff I don't need. So that's pretty much it. We'll go ahead and save for good measure, and then we'll move on our journey. So our next stop is the sea cave. But to do that, we have to go over to the eastern side of the world and access the cave. So we'll probably use Osterfair as our base because they have an inn, they have a revival, and a king to talk to. So we're basically, as you can see, we're basically at the same levels as before. So now for our journey, we have to go up and around this continent, past the Cave to Hamlin entrances, and through the little river there. And we'll continue back out into the ocean. Following along the coastline is always the way to go. Passing along this little river. And we're just going to keep going here. Fighting off these guys, nothing exciting about these. You have to be careful when you get to this point in the game, because it's always like your first instinct will be, oh, it's a weak sea slugs and medusas, why don't I just run? But when you fight this fight, it actually gives you a couple hundred experience. So you need to get up levels, because getting through the cave to Rhone is very hard. The guys in there are very difficult, and we have to go out of our way 3 times for 3 different things: the crest, the armor of Edric, and the lightning sword, I think it's called, thunder sword, something like that, which is the strongest weapon for the hero. The sword of Edric is not actually the strongest weapon in this game. So we're just going to go ahead and knock these guys out. So before we even attempt the cave to Rhone, we need to get the Eye of Malroth first, which is what we're going to do right now. So let's talk a little bit about the sea cave while we're on our way there. The sea cave is a cave that's surrounded by shallows. You can't get to it. You need to use the Moon Fragment to raise the water up around it. And when you do that, the cave entrance becomes accessible. As soon as you go inside, you're met with a volcanic area that is pretty much poison ground in a good majority of it. Now, the benefit is the guys inside are not that hard, and the floor, it doesn't hurt you that bad. I think it's every other step causes 1 damage. But the princess, having the water flying cloth, is not affected by any kind of poisons because of that nature of her armor. So that makes it a whole lot easier to get through that cave. The only thing you have to watch out for is you have to fight 2 evil clowns to get the Eye of Malroth, but they're not hard. We already beat them once before when we got the Staff of Thunder, or whatever the staff was for the princess back in Middenhall. So we'll go ahead and just knock these hawkmen out. I'm going to save an Osterfair, stay at the inn, and then we'll go ahead and tackle the cave. Just knock these guys down. Hawkmen are actually pretty strong. They have pretty good defense, pretty good offense. So we knock that guy out. And we're just going to keep... Oh, talent got up a level. Good. Talent. He learned a new spell. Let's see what he learned. Probably Step Guard. Yes, Step Guard. Okay, so let's go in Osterfair. And we'll just stay at the inn, talk to the king, and then continue on our journey. Actually, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe that Osterfair does not have a way to revive anyone, but not a big deal. Hopefully we don't need that anyway. So let's go ahead and talk to the king. Oh, I'm actually almost up a level. I'm going to go ahead and save and record, and we'll continue on our journey. Strength is out of many fearsome habangos. He talks about the Moon Crest. So we're going to go ahead now and leave. And we'll continue on. So we're going to get back in our boat and go head over to the sea cave. Now the sea cave is not overly hard to get to. It's just one of those uniquely positioned things in the middle of nowhere. So what I like to do is just get obviously in my boat and go west from Osterfair and then south. So I basically let the screen, move a couple of times. So if there's 20, 30 steps in the screen, obviously a full screen, just let it roll over a bunch of times until we get out to about, 3/4 of the way between Osterfair and the central continent. And then we'll basically head south and we'll come across the sea cave. Fight off these Medusa balls again. They're really no challenge at this point. We've fought in them so many times. Knock this guy down. So like I said, if you watch the screen, you can kind of tell when it rolls over to the next, basically set of frames. And that's how I use it to track my placement in the ocean. As you can see, we're doing pretty good on experience here. So a typical frame is about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 15 wide. So I usually just count a bunch, maybe 20, 30, and then go south. And here we are. So to open this up again, we need to use the Moon Fragment. And we do that. The sea cave will appear and be accessible. And then the one thing I don't like is if you go and check your items, you still have the Moon Fragment, even though you'll never need it again. But that's okay. It is what it is. So a quick status check here. Where health's good, magic points are good, and here we go. So again, we're inside of a volcanic cave under the water. You can see all the red is lava, which will hurt. Every other step takes away 1 hit point. But fortunately, we don't have to walk on too much of it right on this floor. So, bypassing all the useless stuff, I'm not even going to really bother with going in for other treasure chests. I'm just going to kind of focus on getting to the Eye of Malroth, which I think I actually remember how to get to. So we're just going to run from these guys. Typical rule of thumb is the longest way on a cave is the way to go. That's not always the case, but the caves that seems to follow that structure. So we're going to go down deeper. And as you can see, we're now on the 2nd floor down in the basement of the dungeon, sorry. So the trick here is to go up through this lava right here. It's not readily noticeable. You don't think you can, but if you walk on it, you can. It took me a long time the first time I played this game to figure that out. I was exploring all around, and being younger, I didn't realize that when I came in, I stepped on it, but I didn't remember that you could right here. So that's the way to go. And then this staircase down brings us to a golden door. So you know you're on the right path. Like I said, golden doors are usually a dead giveaway for that. We can just fight this guy off because he didn't see us anyway. Not overly hard to kill, especially when they don't see you somehow. As you see, they've got a decent amount of hit points. 3 of us didn't even kill it. So we'll go ahead and do it again. They hit pretty good. Took 5 hits to kill that guy. So I typically recommend you be at least level 18 to do this. Or at least, if you're not comfortable with that, 20. It starts to get harder. Bypass that chest. That is a trap. you will fight some stupid guys that are difficult and don't give you anything in return. So we're just going to go ahead and pass that up. So you can see these Saber Lions can kill your guys in 2 hits, talent in 2 hits sometimes, based on the level he's at. And see, he's dead. So 3 hits. So now I have a little bit of an issue because I don't have a way to get out. I don't have anybody else who can cast outside. But we're going to keep going anyway. So let's go ahead and go up here. Now, you'll see we're going to come across a whole bunch of staircases. There are only 2 staircases here that will take us to our desired destination. One being this one, and then one being the one in the right above it, which we're going to go ahead and take this one. Now you can see we're fully surrounded by lava. So we're going to go ahead and heal up. Really, the only person who can be hurt is the Prince of Middenhall. Princess can not be hurt that much. So we're going to go ahead and run. Our destination is that staircase right there. Oh, a metal babble. I'll stay and try and fight it. Oh, ran. So as you can see, the Prince of Middenhall is the only one being hurt at this point, because the Prince's water flying cloth protects her from fire. So here we are. This is the floor where the Eye of Malroth is located. And here we have this lone person. Metal hunters, run from them. They are very difficult and can hurt you fairly badly. So we're going to go ahead and just run from these guys for good measure. And then make sure we're ready for our fight. So here we are. Wizard's Home is not acceptable. And we basically have to fight these 2 off. These evil clowns are a little harder because there's now 2 of them compared to the one that we fought in Middenhall, but not difficult. Just keep casting defense with the princess and keep attacking with the hero or the Prince of Canuck had he actually been alive. And it's basically just a back and forth. Gonna heal up here and go ahead and have the hero kill one, and then we can take out the other one. You got to be careful again. Firebane, it's usually their strongest attack. And this guy should be dead. So as you can see, they're not very difficult. You don't get anything in return, of course. It's just a fight to, I guess they're tasked with protecting the Eye of Malroth. So now comes the fun part. Let's go get the eye, and then we have to get out of here. So fortunately, it's not that long. I think we can do it. Just have to keep an eye on magic points stuff and health. So here is the treasure chest that contains the Eye of Malroth. As you can see, there it is. And we don't have anything to escape this place with, so we're going to have to hoof it. So backtracking the way we came, just bypassing the long walk around. So we basically have to walk through this lava again. I am going to go ahead and pick up the Dragon's Bane that is in the treasure chest right above the exit for this floor, because I can sell it for 400 gold. Dragon Banes are not of anything useful, and I think they're poisoned or cursed. So, which is best just to sell them if you come across one. Mega Knights are difficult. They can kill you like 2 hits. So as you can see, this place is not that large. It's just if you don't figure out where to go, it can be difficult. There's another metal babble. This guy's probably just gonna run. Yeah, they typically 9 times out of 10 they run. So let's go ahead and search for the chest, and there's the Dragon's Bane. So backing out the way we came again. Now, if I die in here, it's okay, because I'll just get brought back to Osterfair, but I'll lose a lot of gold. So I don't want to have that happen, because I'm trying to save my gold to get the Prince of Canuck better armor and a weapon. So backing out the way we came, we're just going to keep going here, try and stay alive. And we're going to run from this. Everybody remembers Gold Works from Dragon Warrior 1 was a good way to get gold. Same thing with fighting the gold wyverns, but in this game they only give like 200. Just gonna heal up the hero and the princess. Yes. And keep on moving. Just gonna go ahead and run from this fight and keep working our way backwards. So this treasure chest I'm okay with getting. I think it's just gold if I remember right. Yeah, the other one is a trap, so I know not to get that one. If I had all of us alive, I would open it, but I don't want to risk it. So we're just going to keep working our way back up. We just have to get through this floor, and we are out of here. So again, we're going to get hit by the lava. Step guard does not work on the lava either, just so you're aware. Don't even waste your time casting it. And we're almost out. We've got just to get through this little floor, and we're clear. We'll go back to Osterfair and save. Actually, you know what I can do? I'll show you where to get the Leaf of the World tree, and I'll use that to bring back the Prince of Canuck, so I can do it for free. You should always carry a Leaf of the World tree. I'm just very bad about it. So as you can see, we've made it out alive, and we are done with the sea cave. Yay! So now let's go ahead and kill these guys. Pesky smokes. These guys don't give anything either, but again, I just like to fight it for good measure. So they are dispatched. Got nothing in return. Work our way back to Osterfair. And I'm not going to be able to restore the Prince of Canuck here, but that's okay. I can at least go stay at the inn, and then I will go scoop up a Leaf of the World tree and use that to bring him back to life, because we have to go that way anyway. So while we're doing this, we have the Eye of Malroth. Now, the Eye of Malroth is used to open the cave to Rhone. But finding the actual entrance to the cave to Rhone is not as easy as you think. If you recall from differing conversations with people around this little world in previous videos, the Eye of Malroth has to be used on a mountain range to open the cave to Rhone, but they don't exactly say where it is. So the most common accepted one was that you would go to Welgarth and then go up to the mountain range and use the Eye of Malroth there. That's what everyone thought. But in reality, you have to use it in a spot that's not accessible from the continent that Rhone is on. And I'll show you what I mean as soon as we get down there. So now that we're back in our ship, let's head south, and we'll go pick up a Leaf of the World tree. So a Leaf of the World tree is used to bring back anyone back to life. So it's best to always have one with you. I've always been so bad about carrying one. I really should. But I just never do. But we'll get one for this case. We can recover the Prince of Canuck for free. And we can stay at the inn at Welgarth. Let's knock these guys out. And keep working our way down here. So there is the Fire Monolith, Useless Island, and here's the location of the Leaf of the World tree. Let's go ahead and search. If I remember correctly, the World tree is in Dragon Warrior 4. and you use it where you find the fallen Zenithian, I think, if I remember right. And let's use it to bring back Tali to life. So there's a one-time use thing. And let's go ahead and cast Heal More. And we're good. Now, had I been smart, I would have gotten another one while I was there. But it's alright, I can come back for it. So let's go ahead and knock these guys out. So our next step is to find the entrance to the Cave of Rhone. Our first stop will be Welgarth, where we'll stay at the inn, and we'll explore for the entrance to the cave to Rhone. We're basically at this point in the game, there's not a lot left to do. We basically have to navigate the cave to Rhone, acquire the life crest, which is hidden in there, along with a couple other items. There's a sword and the armor of Edric. And we need to take all 5 crests to Rubilus's shrine, which is in the middle of the ocean south of Middenhall. And when we give her all the crests, she gives us the charm of Rubus, which is what's needed to see through the disguise of Hargon's castle once we get to Rhone. But we need to get up to significant levels before we're ready to accomplish that. But we're getting towards the end of this game. Using the right pattern of attacks and luck, you can beat this game on like level 20 with defense and stuff like that with Hargon and Malroth. It's just very difficult, and it requires tactical maneuvering and skill and some luck too. You can actually, believe it or not, cast Stop Spell on Hargon, and it works. On some case, you have to get lucky and keep doing it, but it does work. And it makes that fight that much easier. The hardest part about Hargon's castle is not so much getting to him, it's the 4 bosses you have to fight on each floor, and that they regenerate every time you leave and come back. So we'll probably make sure we're at least level like 22 to 24 for the hero, and 20 probably for the prince, and 17, 18 for the princess. So we go ahead and stay at the inn here. And we're good. Oh, it's doing that thing again where it just sits. Let's just keep tapping A. And it will work eventually. Tap, 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 tap. There we go. Okay, so let's go ahead and backtrack the way we came. And here we are back outside of Welgarth. I might actually go back inside for a second. I want to see what they sell, if they have if this is the place that has the weapons and armors for the Prince of Canuck. It was either here or Baran, but we'll come back for that. Okay, so let's go ahead and just wipe this gas guy out here. Okay, they put me to sleep. Again, this is one of those fights that gives you little to no return, but I'm going to do it anyway. So this is the continent that has Rhone on it. Rhone is the essentially fortress area of Hargon. The guys inside are very difficult and can kill you very easily. So let's go back inside Welgarth real quick before we go that way. I just want to check something here at the armor shop. I just have to remember which one the armor shop was. They're all the same looking. I think this was not this one. This is one with the jailer's key, I think. Yeah, nothing here. I'll buy a Wing of the Wyvern just for a good measure. think usually he gives you a lottery ticket. Yeah. I think this is the lottery guy. Nope, tools. There's the Dragon's Bane, which I can sell, which actually reminds me. Let's get rid of it. 480 pieces, pretty good. Any bit helps. This is the lottery guy. One of them was the lottery, I know that much. This is the prison. This is where we got the Watergate key. This is the guy we're looking for, if I remember. Yeah, here we go. So what I'm interested in is two things. The mink coat and the shield of strength. Those are the two items that I want to get for the Prince of Canuck. So I need 86,500 gold. So I only need about 70,000 more gold to get those two items. The light sword you can buy for the hero. It's not worth it because you're going to get the thunder sword inside the cave to Rhone. So we need 70,000 gold, which we'll get in time between our grinding and leveling up. We'll get them. So I won't come back to Welgarth until we get to that point. So now let's go find the entrance to the cave to Rhone. So the cave to Rhone is north of here. Rhone is the area that is known as Rhone. It's basically on top of a mountain range. So basically, to get up that way, we're just going to head this way. Now, this, believe it or not, is not the way to get to Rhone. It looks like it is, but it's not, and it actually tricks you up. When I was younger and my friends and I were playing this as a group, no one could figure out how we got to the cave to Rhone. It was very difficult, and it is very difficult to find. There's not a lot of direction from anyone on how to get to it. So you see here, now let's kill this gold orc, that up here, the mountain range just stops. And everybody thought that you used the Eye of Malroth. I'm thinking if I want to fight these guys or not. Nah. You use the Eye of Malroth right here, and it would open. So let's go ahead and try it. And we'll see what happens. Nothing happened. So, how do we get to the Cave of Rhone? We'll try it again. Nothing's going to happen. Confused? I was at first, the first time I played this game with my group of friends, but I actually figured out the trick. If you look down here, which we'll do right now, as soon as I can get this to move again. Let's go ahead and exit out of this menu. The caved entrance to the cave to Rhone actually requires you to go to a different continent to get there. It's a pretty interestingly designed system that's needed to get there. And finding it, again, it is not straightforward. So you can see there is that monolith right beneath my menu bar status that keeps popping up. That monolith is what we need to get to the cave to Rhone. So how do we get there? The actual way to get there is we need to go to the town of Baran, which anybody knows where that is. We have not actually been there yet. It's a town that's forgotten about in this game, but it's on a western island, and inside of that town is an area surrounded by the poison step guard and a jailer's door. We have to use that entrance to get to the cave to Rhone. Brings us to that monolith. Now, when I was a kid and we were playing this game, none of my friends could figure out how to do it, and it took a considerable amount of time But we finally figured it out. So basically, to get to the cave to Rhone, you have to go to the western island, go in the town of Baran, and use the warp gate to bring you to that monolith. Now, Baran has an inn, it has a recovery place, and it also has a save point. One of those little wizard guys is there. So, which is great because we can now use that as our staging point. And we can, once we save there and we cast return, we can just be automatically brought back there. Because my goal after I open the cave to Rhone is to basically build up levels and grind inside of the first floor of the cave to Rhone. Now, notice what I said there, the first floor. If I go on to the second floor, I'm almost guaranteed to get killed because the guys are so difficult and I'm not ready for that yet. I need to learn Explode It and a couple of other spells before I even attempt to do that. And I'd like to get the prince's armor and weapons beefed up. Armor and stuff, specifically armor. So there, our hero got up a level. So now we're just going to go ahead and travel west to the island where the town of Baran is. Up until this point in the game, you never even really had to visit Baran. Stumbled across it by accident in one of my original playthroughs. That's how I knew out of my group of friends where how to get to the cave to Rhone. You're just basically going to keep traveling west until we stumble across that island. And here was one of them, not the one we want. It's this one coming up next. So we're just going to keep traveling, and here we are. So really, at this point, the only thing left in the game is to acquire the final crest, navigate the cave to Rhone, navigate Rhone, and then infiltrate Hargon's castle, kill Hargon, kill Malroth, and then the game will be over. So we're going to go ahead now and go into Baran. Just going to go ahead and let me actually fight these guys. These guys are not that difficult, as you can see, but I'll just run. Gonna heal more. Tally here. And gonna keep going north to Baran. Titan trees are a pain because they can take your magic points from you. They don't do a lot of damage, but they do this weird jig thing and take your magic points away. But we reached the town of Baran. So we've not been here before. This town is basically surrounded by water. And as you can see, they have a weapon shop here. We'll go ahead and the Thunder Sword is the sword that is in the cave to Rhone, and it gives you 80 attack. So there's really nothing useful here other than the Shield of Strength, which is what we want to get for the Prince of Canuck. As soon as I get to the amount for that, I will buy that first. And most of these guys don't tell you anything too useful. And we're going to go ahead now and go this way. Talk to this guy. Leave for the World Tree. Stay at the inn. Inn's a little pricier, 90 gold, but it's okay. Again, the amount of money we'll make going through the cave to Rhone is what far outweighs. So here is the entrance to Rhone, the cave to Rhone. I mean, we have to go ahead and use the jailer's key on this door and cast Step Guard. And now you can walk on this without Step Guard, but it'll pretty much kill you like super quick, which is I actually forgot about right here because I thought it was still activated, but it was not. Now we're in the monolith, that we could see from where we were standing just north of this mountain range. And this is how you get to Rhone. It's the only way, which is smart on the developer's part to make it interesting that you had to do this. They tripped everyone up by making you think that the entrance was right north of here. It definitely is not. So the entrance to Rhone you don't even see it yet. It's this little area here of poison, and step guard actually doesn't work on this. So in here, if we use the Eye of Malroth, we see the cave to Rhone up here. And we are not going to go inside yet because I'm not ready for that. So what are we going to do now? We are going to trade this to Gwen, get it out of I'll give it to the prince to hold. Again, these items don't, even after you use them once, they're not single use. They stay. I don't know why, you don't need it. But, yeah. In the Nintendo Switch remake of this game, the Eye of Malroth was not called that. It was called the False Idol, I believe. Or something along those lines. So we cast Step Guard again. Use our jailer's key on this door, and we can get back. So that is how we're going to get to Rhone once we are ready. Well, we have some other things to do first. Here's a House of Healing, which is great. So this is going to become my new staging area. Now there is a save spot if this person would move. The time is, I don't know. Let's go ahead and move, buddy. Lady, guy, whatever you are. And let's go ahead and save. Here's just one of these little wizard dudes who lets us save our game. So, thank you everyone for watching this long video. Our next adventures will take us into the cave to Rhone to acquire the Life Crest, the Armor of Edric, and the Thunder Sword. Please everyone like and subscribe to the channel, and the next video will be coming soon.